Hey guys, my name's Brandon. I'm here with Josh and Madison, and we are doing this week's weekly reflections. And we are coming to you from Stone Valley Recovery, which is a local sober living house who's been gracious enough to allow us to use their facilities. This week's reading comes from Daily Reflections, July the 19th, False Pride, page 209. Many of us who had thought ourselves religious awoke to the limitations of this attitude. Refusing to place God first, we had deprived ourselves of his help. The 12 and 12, page 75. Many false notions operate in false pride. The need for direction to live a decent life is satisfied by the hope experienced in the AA fellowship. Those who had walked the way for years, a day at a time, say that a God-centered life has limitless possibilities for personal growth. This being so, much hope is transmitted by the elder A.A.s. I thank my higher power for letting me know he works through other people, and I thank him for our trusted servants in the fellowship who aid new members to reject their false ideas and to adopt those which lead to a life of compassion and trust. The elders in AA challenge the newcomer to, quote, come to so that they can, quote, come to believe. I ask my higher power to help my unbelief.
Okay, so the first thing I think of, and I thought about it immediately as you started reading, was God is everything or God is nothing. What was our choice to be? And that experience is so true for me. It really is. Because it's all God. All of it is God anyway. Like, no matter good, bad, indifferent, it's all God, right? And a lot of our experiences go to show, no matter the terror and the pain, misery, depression, all that really awesome crap that I can call awesome today, it gave me purpose.
Yeah.
And it placed me in a position to be of helpfulness to others. And I don't really care about my will. Do I strive on my will practically every day, all day? Yeah, but the truth for me is God has carried me through so many things that I really shouldn't be sitting here today, especially happy, free from drugs, alcohol, and I have all the luxuries of life today, internal and external. It's all God, higher power.
Whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, for many years I spoke about false pride. And I was too prideful to admit that I was an alcoholic. I was too prideful to talk about some of the things that I did, but I was never too prideful to slip a needle in my arm or do those things that were so sketchy. I guess I can say that. And I didn't live a decent life at all. I'm grateful for the people who came before me and led me to a higher power. I remember I was probably 15 days sober. I was sitting in a treatment center, and I grew up in the church. My parents were ministers. I had these preconceived ideas of what God was supposed to look like, and I remember the director of the treatment center pulled me into her office, and she gave me this little sheet of paper, and it had the set-aside prayer on it. And that set-aside prayer says, set aside, God, I ask that you would help me set aside everything I think I know about you, about the program, about myself, about my recovery. And that was foundational for me because the God that everyone else tried to feed me my whole life, I didn't want to have anything to do with that. But the God that the old-timers or the elders in AA led me to, because they didn't try to shove anything down me. They didn't try to shove anything down my throat. They didn't try to hand feed me anything. They just tried to lead me in a way, and let me discover my own higher power.
Right.
And in that, whether or not the higher power that I have today is anything like one that you have, or whether it's the one that my parents had, I found it on my own.
Right.
And I think that's what's most important. Is our higher power any different? I don't know. I don't really know at all. I just know that I came to the conclusion of it all by myself. And I think that's what was mainly foundational for me. And I was able to get such much more personal growth through that. You mentioned your luxuries today. I think we all have pretty nice luxuries. The luxuries I have today and the problems I have today stem from my luxuries.
It's amazing how that works.
They're luxury problems that I have today. I worry about, making my car note. I worry about, I need to go put gas in my car before work. Am I going to have enough time? Like, what?
But what's crazy about that is if I don't say spiritually fit, I'm not putting God first, those luxury problems start to take over my life.
Yeah.
And I can start getting really ungrateful and start thinking that that I'm not getting what I deserve, or that the world is unfair, and the more I slip away from God, the more I focus on those negative external circumstances, and those luxury problems, can drive me to a place of depression, or even worse, relapse, if I'm not careful.
Yeah.
And the only real freedom from that, and the only way I'm able to even look at them as luxury problems, is by putting God and my program first, and spirituality first. Because, when I first was introduced to the program, to the 12 steps, I didn't think that God was something that was available to me. I didn't think that I could grapple with the idea of a higher power. I'd been atheist my whole life. I remember being in the darkest depths of my addiction, wanting to, I actually did pray a couple times, didn't think that anything heard me, but it was all I could do. And I just remember wishing so badly that I could be a religious person or a godly man, that I could believe, because I knew that there was some sort of freedom in that. And I just kind of accepted at the time that I couldn't. Then fast forward and I get introduced to the program, and the AA elders tell me I can seek a God of my own understanding. And it can be literally anything I want. You hear all sorts of different explanations or different types of gods, and I have a God that works for me, and I don't know that I necessarily understand it. I don't know that I need to, but it's something that I acknowledge on a daily basis.
Well, it's an experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a concept. It's not, this is the God that we're going to believe in that's going to keep us sober.
I'm not going to drop names, but I go to a Thursday night big book study, and I heard the most profound thing there one time when the speaker was speaking on step 3 about finding a God of your understanding and then turning your will over to that. He said, God has to be the subject of your experience as opposed to the object of your belief. And I had to simmer on that just for a minute, because it blew my mind.
The subject, God has to be the
subject of your experience as opposed to the object of your belief. When I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is an experience. God is something that you experience. It's not some object.
That's why it's personal.
Yeah. And so, I have to have a sensory experience. For many years, I searched for a sensory experience outside myself, and it was right there the whole time. It was right there in front of my face. People were trying to lead me to it, whether their method of leading me to it I liked or not, it didn't really matter. But finally, when you took away all the other things that were giving me these false sensory experiences, and then I get the ultimate one, I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I'll take that.
I think I like this now.
The one thing that people always told me that I never could really understand or grasp was, they told me that I needed to get out of my own way. And I just logically or conceptually, I didn't understand what that meant. How does one get out of one's own way? Because I still have to, take action in my life. I still have to make decisions. But something that I can't really explain happens when I reach out and I take time out of my day to connect with something outside of myself. And I'm not thinking about those same things that can just take me down or put me in a bad place that I ruminate on, mostly just material or external issues that I think are what I need to solve to make myself happy, when in reality, I just need to reach out to this God of my, understanding, or God of my own experience, and things just kind of fall in place. And it's really weird how it works out, but that's what they've been telling me.
Yeah, letting go is
they're not all
important.
And what's really funny is that we sit here and you just described it as being weird, and I describe it the same way. I think every person says that when things happen, just fall into place, that's so weird. But it's what they tell us is going to happen.
Right.
I'm not
they're
sure
like,
if I believe
I don't
that.
know about
It's not
this.
a thing. Oh, wait, no, that's a thing.
But, and
very
what I,
real thing.
yeah, and it said in the last paragraph of the reading, it says, I thank my higher power for letting me know that he works through other people. How huge is that?
Nothing.
He's all or nothing, and sometimes my higher power had to be the rooms and the people in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can be as close to God by just sharing a moment with you or all of you than I ever could in my deepest form of meditation or doing the best, charity work or doing all of these things. Like, God is here now, and this is the only place he'll ever be, is here and now.
Yeah, and they say when two get together, a third shows up.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's heard something that struck a chord with them today. I don't know if you're out there seeking recovery, or maybe you're seeking recovery for your family. Go to detox-to-rehab.com. There's tons of resources on there. We have a directory of treatment centers. If you're seeking help, you can call the hotline number. There are addiction specialists waiting for you, waiting for your phone call. And we'll always be here, and you can join us next week for more fun stuff.